Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where we delve into crime stories, missing person cases, and famous mysteries from around the world. In today's video, we will travel to the land of the rising sun to explore a shocking case that not only shook the people of Japan, but also kept the attention of international media for many years. This is the Miyazawa family massacre in Setagaya, Tokyo, which occurred on December 30, 2000. This is a horrifying story about a family of 4 who were living peacefully, only to have their lives brutally taken away right before the new year. What's even more chilling is that the perpetrator seemed to have stayed at the crime scene for a long time after committing the murders. He ate food, used the computer, and even left behind his underwear, footprints, fingerprints, and DNA. Yet, despite over 20 years of investigation, and despite Japan's advanced forensic technology, the police still have not been able to identify the killer. So what makes this case so difficult to solve? Could it be the work of the mafia, an international criminal, or a deranged individual acting without reason? Or is there a supernatural element lurking in this house? Let's dive into the details together. Background: and the victim's family Setagaya Ward is one of the most densely populated areas in Tokyo, but the neighborhood where the Miyazawa family lived was relatively quiet, with parks and green spaces. By the year 2000, this area was undergoing redevelopment. Many surrounding houses were vacant or abandoned, awaiting demolition. The Miyazawa family lived in a 2-story semi-detached house, sharing a wall with a relative's home. The Miyazawa family consisted of 4 members. The father, Mikio Miyazawa, 44 years old. He worked for a marketing company and was described as a quiet man, devoted to his family, and liked by his neighbors. The mother, Yasuko, 41 years old. She was a private tutor, known as a gentle and caring woman who was deeply dedicated to her children. Eldest daughter, Nina, had 8 years old. She was an elementary school student, well-behaved and diligent in her studies. Youngest son, Ray, 6 years old. He was diagnosed with some language difficulties and was receiving special care from his family. They led a peaceful life, had no conflicts with anyone, and carried no debts. There seemed to be no reason for them to become a target. Yet, on the night of December 30, 2000, an unimaginable tragedy struck, wiping out the entire family. The tragedy of December 30, 2000, on the morning of December 31, Haruko, Yasuko's mother, who lived right next door, was unable to reach the Miyazawa family. Noticing that the lights in their house were still on, she became concerned and decided to check on them. What she found shocked her to the core. Mikio's body was lying at the bottom of the staircase, blood splattered everywhere. As she went upstairs, she discovered Yasuko and little Nina collapsed together, lifeless. In the bedroom, Ray had also stopped breathing. All of them had been brutally stabbed to death. Overwhelmed with fear, she immediately called the police. When investigators arrived, they found disturbing evidence suggesting that the killer had not fled immediately after the murders. Instead, he lingered in the house for hours, engaging in bizarre behavior. He searched the fridge, ate ice cream and other food, leaving his fingerprints and DNA on the ice cream container. He used the family computer, browsing the internet, and even attempted to book tickets online. According to some sources, he used the toilet but did not flush. His clothing was found at the scene. It seemed like he had either changed into Mikio's clothes or left his own dirty garments behind. He discarded personal belongings at the crime scene, including a handkerchief, a hair tie, and even the murder weapon itself. Even more bizarre and unsettling, there were no signs of forced entry through the front door. Investigators believed that the killer climbed through the second-floor window, possibly using the balcony or jumping over from the nearby park. So, why did the killer act so casually? Was he certain that no one in the family had survived? Or did he simply not fear being caught? This eerie detail sent chills down the spine of the entire Japanese public. Crime scene and clues. According to reports, all 4 victims died from deep stab wounds, likely inflicted with a kitchen knife, as police found a blood-stained knife at the scene. Mikio was attacked first, possibly after hearing a noise and going downstairs to check. Yasuko and Nina were stabbed on the second floor. Rei was either strangled or suffocated in his bedroom. The killer left behind significant forensic evidence. DNA was recovered from blood, saliva on food, and feces in the toilet. Bloody footprints were found, indicating the killer wore shoes approximately size 26.5 to US size 8.9. Fingerprints and sweat traces were also collected from clothing left behind. Hundreds of forensic experts analyzed the evidence for months and determined that the suspect was likely a male, aged 15-25, based on bone structure and hormone levels. More intriguingly, DNA analysis suggested that the killer had mixed ancestry, a combination of Asian descent, possibly from South Asia, European descent, particularly Mediterranean region. This detail made identification even more difficult, as Japan had very few individuals of mixed European, Asian heritage at the time. The killers left behind items. The murderer abandoned several personal belongings, including a hip-hop style skateboarding jacket, a cap, a handkerchief with a unique pattern, the murder weapon, a kitchen knife. Investigation revealed that the jacket was sold in Kanagawa in limited quantities. The handkerchief had a distinctive design. Other items were produced and sold in various regions of Japan. Police searched customer records, supermarket security footage, and more, trying to find someone who had purchased all of these items together, but found no match. Despite detailed clues, the case remained frustratingly unsolved. Motive for the murders: robbery. Upon investigation, police found no signs of theft. Cash, jewelry, and other valuables were left untouched. The family's computer, TV, and expensive items were not stolen. If robbery had been the motive, the killer had no reason to stay for hours, and certainly no reason to leave empty-handed. Personal revenge. The Miyazawa family was known to be peaceful, with no conflicts or enemies. Mikio was a regular office worker. Yasuko was a private tutor. They had no major debts and no known connections to gangs. Additionally, the brutal murder of the children suggested that the killer was exceptionally ruthless. If this had been a personal dispute, the attacker would have likely targeted only the adults, not slaughtered the entire family. It was difficult to imagine a grudge so deep that someone would murder innocent children as well. A psychopath. The third theory was the killer a psychopath who chose his victims at random. He broke into the Miyazawa home simply because it was easy to enter. He killed them without reason and then stayed behind, eating and using their home as if nothing had happened. However, if this were true, why had his DNA and fingerprints never matched anyone in Japan's databases for over 20 years? Could it be that he was not Japanese, or that he had never been arrested before? This remains one of the biggest mysteries of the case. Mafia or gang involvement. Some theories speculate that the Miyazawa family might have known something dangerous or accidentally crossed paths with the wrong people. However, police found no evidence supporting this idea. The family was quiet and private, with no ties to criminal organizations. The mafia theory remains pure speculation, as there was no proof of involvement, a serial killer, or a motive beyond our understanding. With no clear motive, people began to wonder, was the killer simply a cold-blooded murderer? Or did he have a purpose that we still don't understand? This chilling uncertainty continues to haunt Japan more than 2 decades later. A years-long investigation, this case shocked all of Japan, prompting an extensive police investigation. Tokyo police mobilized over 250,000 officers to track down the killer. Investigators collected more than 5,000 pieces of evidence, analyzed DNA, and cross-checked records with international criminal databases. Even Interpol was contacted to help identify individuals with mixed Asian-European ancestry. Yet, despite these efforts, no suspect was ever a perfect match. The police received countless tips from citizens. "I saw a suspicious young man, Someone wearing a hip-hop jacket was near the park." However, none of these leads resulted in an arrest. Tokyo is an enormous city with millions of people passing through every day. Details like mixed DNA or shoe size were simply too broad to narrow down a suspect, a case that never expires. Although decades have passed, this case remains legally open. In Japan, murder cases do not have a statute of limitations. Every year, as December comes to an end, Tokyo police publicly revisit the case, urging the public to provide any new information. The victim's family has made repeated pleas for justice, but with no answers. They remain helpless in the face of this enduring mystery. Theories on why the killer stayed. This is the most chilling detail to me. Imagine this. After brutally murdering 4 people, leaving blood everywhere, the killer sat down, ate yogurt and ice cream, browsed the internet, and even left dirty clothes behind. Why? Here are some possible explanations. He was certain he wouldn't get caught. The murders happened at night, and he may have known the area was quiet with few neighbors. The Miyazawa house was semi-isolated, making him feel safe enough to act as if he were in his own home. He was deranged, or had a severe personality disorder, a psychopath, or someone with extreme mental instability. He felt no guilt of killing and instead relaxed in the house. He wanted to mislead the police, staying behind, eating, and leaving excessive evidence could have been a deliberate attempt to confuse investigators. He may have tried to obscure his real motive or overwhelm police with too many clues. Or was he waiting for someone? Some bizarre theories suggest that the killer was expecting an accomplice, but there's no evidence to confirm this. Personally, I find the theory that he had a mental disorder or an extreme psychological condition the most plausible. Normally, no matter how cold-blooded a murderer is, they would want to escape as quickly as possible. Yet this killer seemed disturbingly at ease, almost as if he felt no urgency at all, which is both unsettling and inexplicable. A supernatural perspective, haunted house, or a curse. Given the chilling details of the case, many people have begun weaving supernatural theories. Could the Miyazawa home have been haunted? Did they violate some kind of feng shui misfortune? Let's break down some of these eerie speculations. The house was built on an old graveyard. Rumors suggest that the land near the Miyazawa home once held ancient graves and that restless spirits caused disturbances. However, there is no historical evidence to confirm this claim. The timing, a New Year's omen. The murders happened right before the New Year, a time when Japanese people prepare for festive celebrations. Many ghost stories and legends are tied to the year's end, a symbolic time of transition when the veil between worlds is thin. Was the killer invisible to justice? He left a staggering amount of DNA, fingerprints, and evidence, yet remained untraceable for over 2 decades. Some believers in the paranormal whisper, what if he wasn't human? Of course, this is pure superstition. The police treat this as a real homicide, not an urban legend, a case that feels like a horror story from a creepypasta perspective. This case has all the elements of a terrifying ghost story, a phantom-like killer appearing out of nowhere, a blood-soaked crime scene, yet he calmly eats and browses the internet. He vanishes without a trace, as if he never existed. However, in reality, this case proves one simple, disturbing fact. The killer was either incredibly intelligent or extremely lucky. He may have left Japan, making it impossible to track him down. Supernatural or not, the mystery of the Setagaya murders remains one of Japan's most chilling unsolved crimes. Criminal psychology. Who was the killer? Criminal psychology experts have analyzed the killer's behavior, method of entry. He seemed to know the area well and chose a vulnerable family that had little means of self-defense. Actions after the murders. He stayed for hours, browsing the web, eating food, suggesting he was completely numb or even enjoyed being near the corpses. No theft, no covering his tracks. He was either extremely overconfident or had no fear of being caught. Many experts believe the killer was immature. His shoe size is to 6.5, around US.59, suggested he was a young male, likely 15-25 years old. His behavior, eating carelessly, leaving waste unflushed, wearing the victim's clothes, was juvenile and reckless. However, the sheer brutality of murdering women and children points to someone with a severe personality disorder, a person who felt no consequences for his actions. Conspiracy theories. Since the case hit a dead end, several internet conspiracy theories emerged. Government cover-up. Some speculate the killer was from a powerful or wealthy family and that underground laws erased his tracks. However, there is no evidence of a cover-up. This case was too public and police put massive effort into solving it. The victims witnessed something. Did the Miyazawa family accidentally witness a drug deal or illegal weapons trade? Was the killer silencing them? Again, no solid proof supports this theory. Ties to a religious cult. Some theorize the family was involved in extremist cult. However, there is no record of them being part of any suspicious religious group. Japanese police insist they have not hidden any information. The reality is simply that there was too little to go on, and the investigation hit a standstill. The case remains a mystery. By 2010, a decade had passed without answers. International news kept the pressure on Tokyo police, who responded by announcing new generation DNA testing, hoping for a breakthrough. Yet, even after 20 tough years, no major leads have emerged. Yasuko's elderly parents still plead for justice, but time is running out. Some relatives have publicly stated, "We are just waiting for a miracle." In 2019, rumors spread that police had found a suspect in China, but these claims were never confirmed. sensational news about the case frequently surfaces and fades, with no real resolution. A haunted house and an urban legend. After the murders, no one dared live in the Miyazawa home. The entire area was eventually redeveloped, but the house itself was left abandoned for years. The building remained sealed off and became a dark landmark overgrown with weeds. In Japanese culture, places of gruesome deaths are considered cursed, making the house impossible to sell. Some YouTubers and tourists have tried to visit the site to film its eerie remains. They describe the atmosphere as silent and unsettling. However, most people do not enter as trespassing is illegal. Over time, the house has become a legendary ghost spot, a place of mystery and horror, a case that feels like a horror story, as you know. I like to tell crime stories with a creepy atmosphere, and the Setagaya murders are as chilling as they come. Just imagine, police enter the house and find 4 bodies scattered. On the stairs, in the bedroom, the kitchen is a mess, with ice cream containers and drinks left out. The computer is still on, displaying a travel website. According to rumors, the killer seemed to casually enjoy himself in this blood-soaked house. What was he thinking? Did he hear his victims' last breaths? Did he stare at their terrified faces before killing them? We will never know. This part of the story remains in the dark forever, a real-life creepypasta. This unnerving mystery has led many Japanese YouTubers to say, the killer was like a ghost, or after all, a normal person would be shaken by such a horrific crime. Yet, the killer showed no fear, no urgency. All he left behind were his foul stench, his bloody footprints, and then he vanished. A creepypasta that exists in real life? The case that haunts Japan. Now you understand why the Setagaya murders are one of Japan's most terrifying crimes. 4 innocent lives, including 2 young children, were taken in a brutal and senseless act. The killer acted like he was on a casual trip, spending hours in the home after the murders. Despite having DNA, fingerprints, footprints, clothing, and more, police have never identified the culprit. This case is a reminder of how fragile life is, and how even forensic science has its limits. It also forces us to confront a truly unsettling thought. A person capable of slaughtering children, then calmly browsing the web, is still out there somewhere. Was he truly a demon in human skin? Or just a broken soul, devoid of morality, unafraid of the law? A hope for justice, the case remains open. Japanese police have never stopped searching for the truth. Many still hope that one day the killer will make a mistake, or that DNA technology will finally unmask him. At the very least, the Miyazawa family deserves closure after all these years. Until then, one chilling question lingers in Setagaya. Where is the monster who committed this crime? Final thoughts, that's all for today's deep dive. I hope you now understand why this case is one of the most disturbing mysteries in Japan's history. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think the killer was? Will future DNA technology finally expose him? Don't forget to follow the channel for more eerie, true crime cases. I'll keep bringing you authentic, chilling stories to help us all understand the darker side of society and learn from them. Thanks for listening, reading until the end. Stay safe and remember to lock your doors.